Okay, guys, good evening, all. So we'll just resume our discussion, guys, from where, we have stopped yesterday. So, guys, any questions, before I start? Guys, feel free to ask. See, one another point I would like to highlight here is, see, if you wanted to talk to me personally, yes, you can as well do it. For that, you need to reach out to your point of contact or your coordinator, and then through them, you can reach out to me. But you have any questions, you are welcome to discuss now. Or, like if you wanted to talk to me personally, again, I'm repeating, right? I'm happy to help, right? So you can underline that point first. Now with that, guys, any questions, from yesterday's discussion?
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah, good.
We have created resource group yesterday, right? And we have created server, SQL server, and database.
Absolutely.
So, if you remove the resource group, the corresponding server and database are also removed, right?
Absolutely. Everything will go off, right? Perfect. See, because there is a hierarchy basically. Let me, also, explain you that. There is a hierarchy. The hierarchy is in such a way. Let me take the notepad. First, it goes to subscription. And then, of course, subscription most likely will not be in our hands, right? It will be given by the organization to us. But the next goes to resource group. And then the services we create. Like SQL Server we have created yesterday and SQL database we have created it. So that's the hierarchy, guys. So let's say, see, yesterday we have created SQL Server and then the database under our resource group called fashion. If we delete the fashion, actually we can delete the services here, guys. If we delete the fashion resource group, it deletes this server and then the database that we have created. And also we have assumed one point yesterday. We are working for Flipkart, right? Our subscription name is Flipkart. Now let's say if you have moved out from Flipkart, right? So what happens? You will not have access to the resource group, of course, SQL Server and then the database at the same time, right? So that's the hierarchy we have here, right? So that's the hierarchy we have. Right. Any other questions, guys? Yes. Okay. So we'll move on. So I'll take that silence as no. So we'll move on. What we have covered yesterday. We have created the resource group. We have created the SQL Server and then the database. And also we have seen yesterday how we can get into the database and then query the data. Right. So we'll resume from there. So let's get into the database. Query editor. And then we need to provide the password. And then there we go. We can access the tables that we have. So what we have done yesterday, we simply queried a random table from the list. Today I'll take customer. So query it, and then you can view the data here, right? So this is what we have seen yesterday. So now, see, we can write our SQLs, right? See, whatever SQLs we write to analyze our data, can be written here basically. And also we have observed, what is this run, save query, and then export as data. Show only editor means it will remove the result set. And if you click on it again, it will show only the result set. Show all means it will show both the query window as well as the result set. So that's it. If you wanted to maximize this space, you can as well maximize it. Right? So this is all we can do with the editor, query editor basically. So now with that, we can see only there are tables, views, and stored procedures. But generally, a SQL Server will have little more than that. That means it will have more objects, than what we are seeing on the screen. Where are them and what happens to them? Right? Let's first understand it. See, guys, before we get inside, see, there is a notice or information. Actually, it is called as information from Microsoft Azure. That means Azure have placed it. Excuse me. Microsoft placed it here. What it is saying? Showing limited object explorer here. For full capability, please click here to open Azure Data Studio. See, Microsoft itself is saying, boss, this is a limited capability. Don't try to get here basically. So that means this query editor to say is useless. Right? I'm repeating it again. This query editor is useless. And you can notice this. This query editor is in preview mode. Or it's in preview. Preview means it is not ready for live environments or the production environments. Right? It is not ready for production environments. So that's what it means. So another question is, if it is useless as per me, as per a person called Shiva, then how we can access the objects, how we can store the data, and how you can query it, right? So that's an important point to understand, right? That's what this information says. Click here to open Azure Data Studio. So now let's also discuss about two different applications. So one is SSMS. SSMS stands for SQL Server Management Studio. The other one stands for Azure Data Studio, right? So there are two applications, right? So first, I'll spend some time on SSMS, and then we will spend some time on Azure Data Studio, and then we will decide which application should we use for our learning, right? So first, let's understand how you can have download SSMS on your machines. Right. Second, go to Google and type in Bing. I'm just using Bing because that's my default search engine for my Edge. Just get into this official from Microsoft. Guys, I hope most of you might have SSMS, but this is for those who doesn't have it on your machines. Just go here and then click on this specific selection, and then there will be a exe that will be downloaded. So notice here I just clicked it, and you can notice a exe file of 647 MB is trying to download on my machine. Okay, this way we can download SSMS, and then you have to install SSMS on your machine. Right, guys? I'm going to share this link, guys. Soon we are going to have a Telegram group, right? For next 3 to 4 days, I'll try to share the links or any material if I wanted to do in the chat window. You can go and copy it into your notepad or somewhere else and keep it with you till we have some group to discuss basically. Right. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share it in the chat. Guys, have everyone got the link? Okay, so this is one thing which I wanted you guys to download it, have it on your machines. So now with that, so once you have SSMS, first we'll spend some time on SSMS, and we'll go to Azure Data Studio. The reason being, understanding or knowing both of these applications are important as a developer, sorry, right? So I have SSMS already on my machine. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to boot my SSMS, and then we will see how we can connect to the server. That means the Azure SQL Server that we have created yesterday. Right. So once you have SSMS, you will have a software that is showing up on your screen. I mean, on your all programs like Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. By the way, guys, SSMS in short, we call it as SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. So now just click on this connect, either one of it, and then click on the database. So right guys, now let me get the details of the server, right? So we saved our server details yesterday on a notepad, right? Okay. Did I save it? Right, as we have it. I saved it. So let me pull up our SSMS and then let's copy the server name that we have here. Copy and then go to our SQL server, paste it here, and that's the server name, guys. Right, so we have the server name on the notepad. I just copy pasted it. How did we get the server name, guys? Guys, anyone wants to answer? How did we get the server name? Guys, how did we get the server name?
From Azure SQL Server.
Right, absolutely right. So from this service that we have created yesterday, from there we have got the name of the server basically, right? So this is database.windows.net. Perfect. And then what is next? We have two different authentications. So one being Windows authentication, the other being SQL Server authentication. See, these are all Active Directory, guys. This is like for Entra ID, may not be for us for now, right? We are going to have SQL Server authentication. So that means we are going to provide the login name and then the password that we have saved yesterday, right? So we have practice login and then Azure @123. So those are the details I have placed it, and then I clicked on remember password. Then click on connect. Come on. I really doubt if is that our server name.
So yesterday we created Asam server as the server name. If you go to the SQL server,
Right.
probably
Absolutely. That's what I'm actually confused. This is a different server, guys. Thanks for raising it, guys. Yes, it is actually Fashion DB, not the practice one. Sorry. Right. Now you are able to connect. Yes. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the confusion. So let me actually correct it here as well. It's not practice. No. And then I'll say fashion login. That means it. Yeah. Sorry, it's right. But also DB also we have. So now you can notice, guys, that we have connected to our Azure server that we have created yesterday, right? So this is the name of the server. Fashion server is the name of the server. Database.windows.net indicates that it is a Azure server. Okay. See, whenever you see a server name that is ending with database.windows.net, so it is pretty obvious and then very straightforward that we can say it is a Azure server. And let's expand the databases. And you have the database that we have created yesterday, and it is FashionDB, right? So this is what I'm talking about, right? A SQL server will have various different objects. But where if we look at the one here, we have just let me keep side by side. Here we have just tables, views, and stored procedures. But whereas if you see the database or the server that we have connected via SSMS have many different objects, So this is what they mean by showing limited object explorer here. That is the reason why I mentioned object explorer, or sorry, this query editor is useless, right? See, personally, guys, I don't use this query editor at all. Maybe I think I have used one time. I'm saying about in my project. Of course, in the trainings, I have to train people on this as well. But in my current project, I think hardly I have used one time in the last 6 months, right? Otherwise, I don't actually get into here basically. right? So anyways, so by keeping that aside, right, so this is where our primary focus has to be, right? So now let's expand the tables, and then it is expanding. Right, and we can notice the tables that we have here, right? So select any random table and then click on new query in the top, and then right, and then we can write our queries, right? Something like select start from the table name, right? Sales LD dot, I'll say address, right? And then click, sorry, and then click on execute, and then we can see the data that belongs to the respective table. But see guys, SSMS is very, very, very flexible, right? Very, very flexible, wherein we can as well copy the data from the result set. And by the way, guys, this section, see, try to follow my mouse pointer, guys. This section is where we write the queries, and the below section is called as result set. So wherein we see the result of the query that we run. So what I'm trying to tell here is, actually, if you wanted to have the data or copy it and then paste it into any of the Excel also, we can do it, right? Click on copy with headers, and you can go to the Excel, and then you can place it there and then save it. But whereas with query editor, that we have seen yesterday, which is on the portal, we can download the result set as a CSV file directly, right? Wherein SSMS doesn't have such a capability. See, SSMS is like a very traditional kind of application, guys. It is there from pretty long years, right? So it have some, maybe we should not say limitations here. Maybe it lacks of very advanced, features that the latest tools comes with, right? But still, yes, we can write the queries, and then even, of course, we can create multiple different tabs, and then we can create multiple different queries, and then we can play around with the data basically, right? So that's about the tool. The next, right? So that's about SQL Server Management Studio, right? So wherein we can create views, we can create something like stored procedures, functions, and then so on, right? So maybe as and when we go, guys, we'll try to cover what is a procedure and then the view also, because in Azure Data Factory we are going to see how we can create a procedure here, and then how we can execute a procedure using Data Factory. Right, so when we get there, we'll try to spend some time on the procedures and then the other objects basically, right? But let's spend few minutes, guys, on SQL, right? So let's start with creating a table, right? Maybe we'll try to spend some time on it. How we can create a table, guys? With create table statement, right? Maybe I'll say sample table with serial number. I'll declare as integer, and then I'll take float sales. Guys, what should be the data type of sales, whether it is an integer or float?
Float.
Float. So why can't be integer?
If you use the integer, we cannot have the decimal, right?
Decimals, perfectly, right? Perfect. So if you wanted to capture decimals, right? So the data type that we have to use is float, right? Sorry, spelling mistake. So this way, right? See, I just ran the query, and then here we can notice the command has been completed successfully, and it have not even taken a second, right? Here you can see in the bottom right, you can see the time the query have taken to run, right? Not even a second, right? So now we have the table being created. So let me query the table. click on execute. Right now you can see the table has been created with no data inside. So now let's go ahead and then insert some values into it. Maybe I'll say 0.8, right? So now we have some data inside. Yes, guys, how we can? Okay, let's insert one more, few more records before I might ask you any other thing. Maybe we will insert some other value. Right. So with this, we have 3 rows inside. Let me also insert duplicates intentionally. Right. Now let me take this query. Right. So we have now 4 records in the table. Right. Now let's say if you have millions of records, and assume if you wanted to capture the count of records in the table, guys, what function will use?
Count
Will use,
star.
right? Count of star. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Right. Count of star will gives us the number of records in the table. Right. And the second scenario is going to be the duplicates. See here. It is pretty clear we have duplicates in the table. Now let's say when I query the data, I don't want to see the duplicates. Right? When I query the data, I don't want to see the duplicates. What function will help me to do that?
Distinct column names you can use.
Right? Absolute. So distinct you can make use of, and then as in when I run it, so it doesn't actually show the duplicates. Guys, one thing I would like to mention with the distinct is distinct doesn't remove duplicates. It will simply hide the duplicates behind the screen. That's all. It doesn't remove the duplicates from the table. Take a look at the data in the table, right? We still have the duplicates. We doesn't deleted it. Right, guys. So now let's say if I wanted to change the sale of serial number 1 from 199 to, or let's assume 202, right? How we can make? We can make using update statement, right? Update sample table set sales equal to 202.2 for the particular serial number called 1, right? For that particular serial number 1, we wanted to change the cell. Right? So for this specific serial number, we are going to update the value to 202. See, this is a where class, guys, right? So this where class helps us to filter down the data, right? Filter down the data. Now you can see one row has been affected. Now let's take a look at the data that we have in the table. Right? So now we can notice we have serial number 1 and then the data has been updated. Earlier, what was the value that we have for serial number 1? We have 199.8, right? So this was the sale that I have given earlier, but we have revised the sale and now the value is 202.2, right? So this is what we have updated here, and then we can see the data. So now, guys, let's also understand the where class a little better. See, now we have serial number 1, 2, and 3 data in the table. Now let's say if we wanted to see only serial number 1 and serial number 3 data. By the way, guys, in SNO, I mean by serial number, right? Where SNO in because we wanted to filter on two different serial numbers, we have to use in. That means in where class we are going to pass two different serial numbers, right? So 1 comma 3. So now you can notice only those two specific rows as are in the result set. But again, this is not going to remove the data. It simply filtered down the data. That's all. Okay, guys? It will simply filter down the data. Right, now let's see how we can actually delete the data. Right, see, here we have intentionally added duplicates. Right, so now given we don't want to have duplicates in the system. Right, what we can do, we can actually use delete sample table where serial number equal to 2. Right, we don't want serial number 2 data in the table. Just select the query that we wanted to run and then click on execute. So now you can notice 2 rows has been affected. So that means 2 rows has been deleted from the table. So now with that, if I do a select star from table name, we should not see serial number 2 data. Right? So now there is no serial number 2 data. Right? So this way basically we can delete the data from the table. So, right, so this is where we can actually delete the data from the table basically. Right, and maybe I'll again add the data, and again let's also add this row number 3 data. Right, now let me do a select star from table. Right, now we will also understand the way we group the data in the table. Right, now guys, oh, 3 I have inserted twice. Okay, 2 we have only once, right? So let me again add 2 also. Right. See, it is pretty clear that we have serial number 2 twice and then serial number 3 twice, right? So we have some cell that is related to the serial numbers. Now let's say instead of deleting the data, we were asked by our managers or the end users or the customers to sum it up, right? To sum it up. So to do that in SQL, what we'll do, we'll make use of group, right? Group by, yeah, perfect. So what we'll do, select serial number, comma, of course, let me take is as sales from the table name, right? So here we are going to use the aggregate function called sum. Guys, we have so we have aggregate functions in SQL. So we have maximum, minimum. What else do you know, guys? Guys, anyone wants to answer after maximum, minimum?
Average.
Yeah.
Some.
Count, sum, yes. Right, perfect. Right. So average, count, sum, minimum. Right. So these are all aggregate functions. So in this specific scenario that we are going to discuss, we are going to have sum. Right. So group by serial numbers. Right, so now we can notice the cells are being summed up. But guys, by looking at the result set, there is something missing. Can you notice it, guys?
Column
Can you
name.
answer?
Column header.
Column header, right? The name of the column, absolutely. The name of the column is missing in this specific example that we have taken here. So here we'll give the name of the column with alias. AS stands for alias. Maybe I'll say serial number cells, right? Or maybe we can also say complete cells, right? So now we can see there is a column name that we have given here, and it is like a plain text case. We can give the name, like we wish, or it is, if it is descriptive, that's good enough to go, right? Right. So now with that, let's also spend some time on joins, right? Which are very important topic on SQL. Guys, today we'll try to spend our next 20 minutes on SQL. Monday, we will discuss about the properties that we have come across while creating Azure SQL Server, right? So once we are done with the properties, then maybe most likely on Tuesday, we will start learning Azure Data Factory, right? So that's where majority of time we are going to spend. So let's also spend some time on joins. Joins. Guys, how many joins we have? I think instead of asking that question, what are the most used joins that you guys might have come across?
Inner join, left outer, right
Inner
outer.
left. Full join, right join.
Full join, right join, right? These are the most used joins, right? Now let's understand inner join first. I would say if someone asks me the question, what is the most used join that we have come across, I'll give rank number 1 to inner join, and then it goes to left join, and then the right join. Guys, of course there is no sequence, guys. There is no sequence. I'm just trying to build my own sequence, right? But for your learning, there is no sequence actually. But I'll rank inner join as 1, and left join as 2, right join as 3, and then fuller join as 4, and also we have cross join, right? So let's understand them. First, theoretically, we'll try to understand, and then we'll jump on, and then we will see, we'll apply the joins on the tables, right? So inner join, what does this do? See, actually, even before, getting onto the join, why do we need joins? Guys, why do we need joins?
To address the two tables like that.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts, guys?
To get the data from multiple tables.
Get the data from multiple tables. Right. Perfect. Any other thoughts?
If you want to collect data from other table, additional information in the sense where we go with join concept.
Right. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. So both of the three answers that we got here are right. Joins. Right. Even let me go one step back. See, we know what is a database, right? To store the data, right? See, we don't store the data. Let's say, we were, handling one line of business data. We don't store the complete business data in one single table, right? I hope, everyone will agree here. Again, I'm repeating, we don't store one business data in one single table. How we store? We store data into multiple different tables. That means data is being split between different tables. And assume yes, we have data in different tables. How we can make tables to talk to each other, right? We can make tables to talk to each other by having a common column, right? Having a common column is mandatory, guys. right? Even to apply join, the prerequisite that we have to have on the data is having a common column between the tables, right? Which is pretty much mandatory. Now let's take a case. Let's say you got a requirement from the customer saying that boss, I have three tables. Get the data out from the three tables. And if you find no relation, that means no common key, no common column between those three tables, you cannot solve it. You cannot answer the questions the customer is looking for. As simple as that. So the prerequisite to have joins is nothing but having the common column. I guess that is pretty much mandatory. Now let's assume we have a common column between the three tables. Or let's take two tables, to understand the context easily. Since we have a common column in this case, we can apply any of the join to get the data out. And we apply these joins based on the requirement. It is not like, I like inner join, as a, from my, okay. I'll not, pick a join because I like it, right? So we have to decide the join that we have to apply based on the requirement, right? Based on the business requirement, to be precise here. So now what inner join does and why there are various different joins, right? These various different joins are for different purposes, right? So one out of that is the inner join, right? The purpose of the inner join is to get the rows from two different tables where there is a match. I guess where there is a match. And what left join does? So inner join will only bring the records where there is a match. And let me take a note and then maybe, let me try to describe this way. Let's take, here we have it, or let me take here. Let's assume we have table number 1. And let's assume this is table number 2. Okay guys, if we apply inner join on these two tables, we'll get only the matching records. Only the matching records. We won't get the unmatched records from these tables. So that's inner join. Then what left join does? See, left join also called as left outer join, guys. Now either we can call it as left join or left outer join. So either way is fine. What left outer join or left join does is, it again takes the matching records and then left join will take all the records from the left hand side table. Right guys, it will show, instead of take, it will show all the records from the left hand side table and the matching records from both of the tables. So that's left join. Right join is exactly vice versa of left join. Right join will bring all the records from the right hand side table and only the matching records from the both the tables. Right. So then what full join does? Right. Full join will bring all the records from both of the table, irrespective to whether there is a match or not, irrespective to whether there is a common column or not. Right? That's full join. And cross join is like a Cartesian product, multiplication, right? It will, take all the permutations and combinations that it can do, and then it will bring the result out. But anyway, I don't think, we'll use cross and full. Cross and full are not so frequently used in a joins, guys. But the most frequent used joins, as per my experience and, in the market is inner join, left and right outer join. Right. So now with that, so let me jump on and then show you how the results are going to be if we apply joins here basically. So for that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have two tables here, and then we'll see how we can perform it. Right. See, here I have a SQL file, so wherein I have very good example that explains the joins. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to have the script And I'll share you the script, guys, shortly, so that you can also practice. I'm going to have the script here, and I'll run the query shortly. Go here. I'll take a new tab, paste it here. What I'm doing here is, see, I have a script to create the table, and I named this table as left table, sorry. And then I have another table called right table, and then I have the third table. This is number 3 table basically, and also I have a insert data script as well. What I'm going to do is, let's click on execute. Right, so let's click on execute. So now we have seen they have been completed successfully. Right, now let me query the data. Right, now we can see the data. Sorry, we can actually see the tables in this tables object, but here, see, you cannot see the tables, guys. Right, the reason why is it is not dynamic. It will not refresh in dynamic. We need to go and refresh it manually. But you can notice first table, left table, right table, and then third table are available here. Now let me show you the data inside. Left table, right table, and then third table. Right. Okay, guys, we have some data. Now let me explain you, right? So we have 3 different tables. You can see the left table have employee first name, and then the last name, and then the serial number. And table number 2 have job titles, and then table number 3 have salaries that are belongs to the jobs. So you can notice there is a relationship between these 3 tables, and then the relationship is on job title. Right, it is on job title. You can notice pretty clear there is a common column. So this is what I was telling, right? To apply joins, we need to have at least 2 tables, and that 2 tables should have at least 1 common column. Right, so that's the prerequisite. So now with that, let me run the queries. Right, simple inner join. I'll take all the scenarios that I have here with cross joins. Right, let me run the first case. In the first case, what we are going to do is, let's take a scenario in such a way. Our manager wants to see the first name and then the job title that belongs to that specific employee. Okay, in this specific context, we need the first name and then the job title. Right, these 2 columns are spread between 2 different tables. So that means we need to apply a join on these 2 tables to get the data out. Right, so you can notice what we have done. We have selected the columns from table 1 and then the table 2. Right, I gave alias name as LT for left table, RT for right table, and then you can notice here I applied a join called inner join. And then on this common column, like I've said, common column is mandatory here. Now let me execute. Right, so now you can notice we have 2 employees. Of course, we have 3 employees, but the other employee details are not coming out. I'll explain about that shortly. So here we can see in the result set, we have 2 employees details. One is Scott and then the David, and then we have the job titles that belongs to those respective employee. Right, now we got the data that our manager is looking for. Now the next scenario, we also wanted the salary of them. What is the salary of Scott? What is the salary of David? Right, click on execute. So now you can notice we also got the salary. So that means I added one more layer of join on the third table, right? And third table have a relationship with the second table, or sorry, with the right table or the left table on the column job title ID. I guess that is how we can perform joins. Right? In this specific scenario, I have taken inner join. Right. So now I wanted the result of the employee who doesn't have any job title also, right? Actually, we have 3 employees. Now take a look. In this specific context, see, we got all the employee names. That includes the employees who doesn't have any job title. So from this, the management can understand, boss, we have some employees in the organization who doesn't have any designation assigned, right? Who doesn't have any designation assigned, right? So from this particular scenario or the query that we have taken, it is pretty clear. Ellen doesn't have any job title basically. So I can add, if you wanted to see only the employees who doesn't have any job titles, what we'll do, guys, where rt dot job title is null, right, perfect. Yeah, just get in and then click on it. Now you can see Ellen information, right? Now let's take the vice versa scenario. Vice versa scenario means show me the job titles which doesn't have any employees assigned. Pretty clear. CFO, Chief Financial Officer. There is no CFO in this current company. How we can do if we wanted to filter only the job titles that doesn't have any employees? Where lt dot first name is null. Perfect. And see, we can play around with the query, guys. That is what I'm trying to come up here, right? So you can build the query the way that we wanted to have, right? So that's on the scenario number 3. Cross join, right? It looks, like I've said, Cartesian product basically. Here we have taken all the 3, this one, right? So let me also take your tt dot salary, and we'll get better results out, right? So now you can notice it's Cartesian product, guys, and it actually will confuse you. So you can notice Scott, and then the job titles, all the 3 job titles, and then the salaries, right? It's like a multiplication. You can notice it's a multiplication basically, right? It's not so useful. It is useful only in some scenarios wherein, if you wanted to understand the calendar. Let's say you built a calendar, and then, let's assume if you wanted to track for any missing, dates, at that time, cross join, might help you. But otherwise, I don't see it is, helpful at all. Right, guys, the most used, left join, and then right join, and then the inner join. Right, guys, I'll stop it here. Guys, I'm stopping in a SQL here. It doesn't mean we are going to stop completely. So guys, we are going to use SQL Server throughout our sessions, right? As and when we progress, we keep on spending some time on SQL. Right, guys, right? Any questions, guys, before I, stop? Yeah, Murli, go ahead, Murli. Any questions, Murli?
No, using Azure, we can connect to only SQL Server and Management Studio, Azure Studio only?
No.
Other data sources also we can connect?
SSMS supports only SQL Server, right? I hope you are talking about SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, right? It only supports,
yes.
It only supports, SQL environments. But we are going to learn about Data Studio in our coming sessions, maybe on Tuesday or Wednesday. Data Studio also supports some other sources like, Postgres, MySQL, Oracle, and then SQL.
Okay. All these sources are relational only, right?
Yes, of course, relational. It supports only relational database management, database systems. Yes.
Oh, okay. For OLTP, such kind of sources, Azure does not support.
OLTP is a concept, right? It is not a database.
Data warehouse.
Yeah, data warehouse, right? See, OLTP, it not necessarily it has to be a data warehouse. You can create OLTP on SQL Server also, right?
Yes.
right? Of
Yeah.
course. Let me show you. See, let me connect to my personal server, which is running on my machine. See, I have OLTPs here. Okay, of course, I have some issue. AdventureWorks Data Warehouse, DW stands for Data Warehouse, right? I have OLTPs here.
Yeah.
See, I'm able to connect to it, right? See,
Okay.
maybe you might have to compare with data warehouses, exclusive data warehouses as a database. It is nothing but Synapse, right? You can connect to Synapse using SSMS, right?
Okay.
Right. OLTP is just a concept. It's not a database.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. Any other questions? Right.
No,
Right. Yeah. Thanks.
I don't have.
Thank you, Murli. Right. But again, guys, feel free if you wanted to talk to me personally, just get in contact with your point of contact, and then we can get onto a call and then we can talk. Right. Or else, if you have a common question, feel free to discuss in the class. Right. So that others also will get benefit from that. See, now there is a question from Murli, so that others can also understand it and then get some information out of it, which is very much needed. Yeah. Go ahead, Murli.
And one more question. Can we connect to SAP DBs from Azure?
No. No. See, maybe you might be confusing with your question. See, there are two things. Using data factory, we can connect to SAP source and then get data out. But using SSMS, you cannot connect it. SSMS is just an application, that's all. Where it will help you to connect to some of the servers, that's all. Right? But using Azure data, let's say you have data in SAP, right? You have 10 tables in SAP. You were asked to load data from SAP to SQL Server or SAP to Excel file, right? We can use Azure Data Factory to solve that. Okay, when we get into Azure Data Factory, I'll show you what are all the various different sources Data Factory supports. Data Factory supports 100 plus sources, not only SAP, Google, Amazon, MySQL, Oracle, IBM, whatnot, right? Like that, it supports 100 plus sources. Okay. Okay, guys, if there are no questions, have a great weekend, guys. The next class is going to be on Monday, 9:30 p.m. IST, right?
Uh,
I'll
sorry, sorry to interrupt. I have a basic general question. I mean, through Data Factory, is it possible to collect the log from REST API call?
Can you repeat your question, Loga? Using Data Factory?
Is it possible to collect the log data from through REST API call?
Yes, we can connect. We can use REST APIs. We can as well use
Okay.
APIs using data.
But you will show me, right? How do we connect? How do we collect the data?
APIs, I can tell you theoretically because I don't have any APIs, with me ready basically. But let me see, right? But theoretically, I can
Yeah.
explain.
Actually, I'm currently working as a Splunk developer. So, in Splunk, we normally used to collect the data through from a REST API call. So, for that, just want to know how do we collect
Because
the
see,
data factory?
yeah, I'll try to answer that, but might not be practically. The reason being, APIs comes with various different behaviors. No two APIs will behave the same, right? No two APIs will behave the same basically, right? Maybe I'll try to explain later point of time. Let's see how far we can cover there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead, Madhav.
No. For practice, please share the script in chat.
I'll do it. Yeah, I'll share it. Right. So that's a good point. So let me share it right away before I miss it. It is not allowing me to drop SQL. What I'll do is I'll drop the script. Okay. I'll just copy the script and then I'll drop it there, guys, so that you can copy paste to your local basically. Too long to send. Okay. But how can I send it? It is not allowing me to drop a file. Guys, any thoughts here? I can only give a Google Drive link to you. It's not allowing me to drop.
In the chart only we have option to attach a file.
Yeah, there it is only asking me Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, Microsoft SharePoint. It is not allowing me to select a file
local.
basically. Yeah, it is
I
not.
think you need to copy in some Google Drive location.
Okay. I'll do one thing. Let me keep it in parts then, right? So create table script, I'll take it as one. And then let me see. Yeah, now it is supporting. Okay, I think it is supporting. Let me check it. And then insert command as well. Guys, I'm sending it as different, chats. The reason being it is not allowing me to, submit the complete at once because of the length it comes with. But once we have the groups, guys, there we can, share the things easily, seamlessly. Okay, so for that you need to talk to your respective point of contacts. Guys, everyone have got it? Can you go to your chat and then, please confirm it?
Yes,
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, perfect, guys. Right. Any other things? Or Yes, again, don't create your Azure accounts, right? I'll give you some direction on how you can create Azure account, why I have various different Azure accounts on my system, which one, will fit to you, and then what is the right time to create it, right? I'll try to, answer all of these things in our coming sessions. But for now, again, I'm repeating, don't create your Azure accounts, okay? Okay, guys, I'll stop it here in that case. Have a great weekend, guys. I'll catch you all on our next class, which is going to be on Monday, 9:30 p.m. IST. Right?
Thank you.
Thank you.